Welcome, Earthlings! From the minds of Dylan Oltoft and Rob McNabb, we bring you Laughing on a Prayer!
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You are listening to that podcast that you clicked on by accident. That's what you're listening to. Or are you? Do we even exist? Has anyone actually seen us? If you have, I bet you have in a really grainy video, maybe.
You know, you'd be surprised, listeners, but Rob actually practices that half an hour before every recording sort of thing, meticulously going over every single syllable.
Exactly, and every single pause, no matter how long or short, is practiced vigorously.
Okay, my turn. Good evening there, people of the world. It is my duty to inform you that we are in fact under attack by alien forces. This is in fact the War of the Worlds.
Then why the hell would they come here?
I like to imagine that. I'm not going to date the video, but seeing everything that's going on, aliens are like, fuck it, going to Mars.
Yeah, they sort of
chill out with that Land Rover they got there. Wasn't there that really sad message that came out like ages ago? Like, the moon's it's getting dark.
It's getting dark, my batteries are dying or something like that. Yeah,
the most bleakest shit from a robot.
Yeah. Can you imagine that though? Like all the human people that want to see aliens are like, come to our planet. And the alien's just like, nah, I'm good. I think that's why pretty much more than anything.
Most alien films are about aliens trying to fucking kill us, and that's why we're too cynical about ourselves. I think there's like 3 alien movies that aren't about killing us. There's E.T., and even then he fucks around with us. There's that fucking Seth Rogen film.
Oh, Paul.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And
Paul's a good film.
What's another alien film where they're nice to us?
I don't know. There's that great line in Doctor Who, though. It's a Capaldi one where it's like, there's a horror movie called Alien. That's incredibly offensive. No wonder everyone keeps invading you.
Oh, that little bit with the Matt Smith Doctor is like his first episode and all that, and he's talking about that giant eyeball is going through every time Earth has been attacked and all throughout the whole fucking years and everything. But I was like, why is this place such a fucking hotbed?
Yeah. It's because we're all arseholes. Speaking of arseholes,
sorry, I'll put mine away.
Yeah.
Once again, we record these naked, and sometimes you just gotta have a wink.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we are in Britain, all right, but it has to be done.
Oh yes, one of the coldest places, and we're incredibly naturist friendly.
Yeah, exactly.
Just shows how humble we are. But welcome to Laughing on a Prayer. My name is Dylan Oltoft, and
I am Rob McNabb.
Oh, yes, you are. Yes. And Rob, we have a very special podcast coming for you guys. It's coming right off Halloween.
Yeah, well, it won't be coming off Halloween for the people listening to this.
No, but we record these very close together.
Yeah, we're talking about superstitions and folklore. Now, this is, kind of similar to Halloween, as in, folklore and superstitions tend to be kind of scary. Also, a little bit conspiracy theory-esque, but we felt that we could do a little bit more and kind of delve into that kind of niche of
we very much enjoyed
ideas.
All of the horrific fallout from the conspiracy theory episodes, so we're keeping a bit more of it going.
Yeah, exactly.
We definitely got some really fun questions going in on this one.
Yeah, we do.
Alright, so mainly focus on folklore, urban legends, superstitions, all that grand gravy.
And we've even got a couple of stories sent in by a viewer, so
I do love it when viewers send us things other than dick pics.
Like what? I thought dick pic was like the pinnacle of respect.
Yeah, good point. Can we get a few more circumcised ones though? The ratio is not that good.
Yeah, I mean, you play with the cards that you're dealt.
Don't worry,
there's no judgment here. Like,
I'm glad we have so many Jewish viewers, but I just want a little bit of
or just circumcised viewers. That's the thing in America is that.
They just do it for the hell of it, don't they?
Yeah, they do it for fun, I think.
Do you know why it was originally concepted? It goes back and back. Like the father's like, well, I had mine done, so I'll do it with my son. And you go back far enough, and it was actually to stop your kid masturbating. You'd be surprised how many old-timey things were to try and stop people masturbating.
What?
Circumcise them and they won't masturbate. That was honestly how that incepted.
So hold on, hang on. that circumcise them so they don't get sexual pleasure from touching their penis. So does that mean that sex is what?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Of course, there's no actual logic behind slicing a bit of yourself off.
Yeah, I mean, I need fucking all the bits that I can get. Do you know what I mean? Like, cut off half an inch, and it's, you know, like a solid, you know...
No.
It would just be 2 inches then.
Canon.
It's well, in a way, yeah, it sort of is.
For those of you that know the Laughing on a Prayer canon so far, with gratuitous amounts of nudity, penis length debates, and whatever sexual remarks we've made about our own performances so far. Love someone to comprise a list and algorithm of everything we've alluded to so far.
And if you want to join the conversation, that can be a mass debate.
Ah, fuck, that was good. Right then, shall...
Not if you're circumcised.
Who starts the question?
We'll start the question. All right. This one's kind of an open one. This is more just a question to you. Really,
we're back to the arsehole.
It's, what is your sort of what's the superstition that you're, like, most interested in? Like, sort of throughout? Interested
in, or that I abide by?
Or that you just think is the coolest, I guess.
That I think is the coolest superstition.
Yeah, you're just like, that's a really cool superstition sort of thing.
I really like the don't break mirrors one. I think that has so much context behind it, and it's sort of, I think that's more of a universal superstition, because everyone can sort of agree that reflections can be spooky. That's why they've made a lot of horror films involving like mirrors and shit like that sort of thing. So the idea of breaking a mirror causes like the 7 years bad luck, I think, is, you know, irrelevant sort of thing. It's just the idea of breaking a mirror, deconstructing your image. Like the idea of in a mirror is like a whole different world sort of thing.
Yeah,
and breaking that fucks up your reality. I think that has so much like creative potential behind it, and I kind of understand it from a folklore point of view, because people in the past who used to think, you know, the sun setting was, you know, literally dying and shit like that. I can understand why they'd freak out about seeing their own reflection cracked and shit.
Yeah, it's like you see those videos, you know, on like YouTube of like animals like seeing themselves in like a mirror and just like losing their shit.
Oh yeah, don't cats like freak out and shit? Then again, cats freak out if you throw a cucumber by them.
Yeah, they do, don't they?
Cats are so fucking stupid.
Dogs are dog crew for life.
Yeah, dogs are the absolute best.
Yeah, they are.
Absolute biasm here, by the way. If you're a crazy cat lady and you've been a long time fan, sorry.
Yeah. Well, semi-sorry.
And he said that with a semi.
No, we're sorry you feel that way.
But yes, good question.
Broken mirror, yeah.
Right.
Fair.
Rob, you can now create a new superstition. For example, you step on a crack, break your mother's back, a black cat passes you, that's bad luck. Walk under a ladder, bad luck. Break your mirror, bad luck. You can create a new superstition. What has to happen and what is the negative outcome? Like, is it 100 years bad luck for knocking over a potato?
I've got this one.
What's our new superstition?
Okay, if you fucking forget to indicate when you're driving, your firstborn child dies. And that will get people indicating, like they should,
a lot
more fucking, you know, a lot more, I feel.
A lot of BMW drivers listening to this are feeling like the Pharaoh of Egypt right now. So let my heart be hardened.
Don't let me indicate in my car.
That's why they've always got such a full car battery, never using their indicating lights.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I would do.
I wonder if there's like a little rhyme behind it, sort of thing. As you know, step on a crack, break your mother's back. If you don't indicate, your children I will annihilate. You don't indicate your children I'll annihilate. There we go. I like that. Okay, your turn.
Yeah, there we go.
Jesus Christ.
I don't know if you'd approve of that, but whatever. Okay.
Yeah,
okay, right. So there are superstitions about, like, you know, sort of like monsters and things like that. If you could make dragons, right? Like dragons and shit. Yeah.
What's the superstition with them?
Well, that they, you know, exist and shit.
Okay,
what
so
existed, yeah.
mythological, yeah.
Yeah. But if you could make a superstition, not necessarily dragons, but if you could make a superstition like come to reality, like what would it be?
Bigfoot.
Bigfoot.
I did not even need a fucking second on that. I am so fucking sick of people wasting their lives in the woods. We live in a modern age where we can catch an actual photograph of the surface of the fucking sun, but we can't capture some hairy bastard walking around a forest.
Oh no, you can, but he only comes out if you film with a camera from 1970.
Exactly. No, I want to make Bigfoot real, and therefore, and then I want to see a news story
With like a 4K camera, like.
No, I don't. That's the thing. The people who come across him, this is going to be a savage bear man. He's going to kill them. That way, I want Bigfoot to be real so that he can inevitably pretty much become Jason Voorhees.
Savage bear man. Is
Yeah.
he a savage bear man?
Well, he's like a Neanderthal. He's like, the missing link sort of thing. So he's all covered in hair and he's going to be feral and all that, isn't he? So he's going to come across a group of campers and fucking massacre them.
Do you think the Blair Witch Project, do you think that was just Bigfoot?
The Blair Witch was Bigfoot.
Yeah.
For saying that, I'm glad you said that. I do not want to sleep in here tonight after you said that.
No. It just reminds, when you said he was like a savage hairy animal, just reminds me of Man Bear Pig from South Park.
Oh, I think that's, what they're taking. They're partially. I love Man Bear Pig. I'm super cereal.
I'm super cereal.
But yeah, I want Bigfoot to be real because in all likelihood he'll be a savage killing machine.
Yeah. What if he's like really docile though? What if he's like a sloth?
How would he be? Because the only way he'd be able to survive would be as a carnivore.
I don't know, he might eat like nuts and berries.
So like he'd be like a gorilla.
Yeah. He might eat like
Well, that'd
berries.
be really shit because then
It would be
like...
shit, but like what if he was just like the biggest gentle giant like you ever met? And everyone thought that he was like this vicious killer, but he wasn't. He was like a hippie.
Well, it sounds like a nice kid's film, but... Well, we're going to... The first sighting of Bigfoot and he's on his hands and knees feeding a squirrel some berries from his palm, stroking it like fucking Lenny from Of Mice and Men.
I thought you were going a whole different direction with that one, mate.
Where do you think I was going?
Don't worry about it.
Oh, what? We're going to see Bigfoot, like his kind nature, taken advantage of. He steps into fake taxi.
Well, yeah.
Where you want to go, mate?
Thing is,
do you have any fare? And he has him carrying a wallet. We'll work something out.
Oh, no, but I don't have any money.
There is a...
I don't have any money. I don't know.
I think there is a female equivalent of that, I'm guessing. So...
well, yeah, surely if he breeds, right? There must be a female. Is he I assume he's a mammal. I don't think he lays eggs.
What's the... No, I'm talking...
Bigfoot.
Oh, I was talking about fake taxi.
Oh, no. I mean... But, like, I assume there would have to be female big feet, because...
Oh, Christ, what are you saying?
Well, they're not... Well, because they I think they're mammals. I don't think they lay eggs, right?
Well, that's the whole idea. Like, there's supposed to only be, like, fucking one of it. This is the missing link in our evolution. Like, he's supposedly meant to be, like, Doctor Who, the last of his kind sort of thing.
But, like, humans used to mate with Neanderthals and stuff. I reckon.
Oh, yeah. Well,
I reckon there's someone brave enough to mate with Bigfoot. Or at least try.
If there's one thing humanity has proven to be consistent at, is that we will stick our penis into something that is sufficiently warm and will fit enough.
Yeah, exactly. Also, like, what if it's a female Bigfoot, right?
Right.
And it's just got, like, a really nice arse, and you've been in the woods for a while, you're kind of lonely, you're like, you know what? I'm going to fucking go for it.
Well, we've just gotten the furry audience back. Because that is pretty much the equivalent, because obviously head to toe in fur with a big rounded arse and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, nice.
Very nice.
There we go. Yeah. Well, I assume. I don't know. But then, can you imagine if, like, Bigfoot was gay? Or he was just really horny and he, like, tried to have his way with you? I think it'd be kind of hard to say no to him.
I won't lie, I'd give it a try.
Yeah.
Are you saying he might overpower me?
I say he'd probably definitely overpower. I don't think my jaw can go that
I was about
wide.
to say, are we talking like the sisters from Shawshank here, or are we talking Pulp Fiction?
I mean, both.
Oh, great.
We'll do both.
That's a lovely
I show love for both of those films.
They are good films.
Yeah.
Right then. Okay, here we go. This is going off that. You can make a movie about any folklore you want.
Oh, yeah.
Which one do you want to pick, and how is it going to go?
Oh, mate.
Any folklore, superstition, urban legend, whatever you want, and you can decide how it goes.
Oh, yeah, urban legends, man. Those are cool. Well, an urban legend / superstition. And make a film about it.
Yeah, and you decide how this film goes.
Well,
like,
I feel in a way that like so like witches and stuff, right? Harry Potter has kind of made that into a whole thing, like witches and wizards and magic. So I feel like I couldn't really do.
Well, I think Wicca was around before Potter and all that.
Well, yeah, but like it's been made into like. Oh, also there was that horror film that was really boring called The Witch.
Oh, that was shit.
Yeah, it was really boring.
Mm.
Didn't she fuck a goat?
The goat was Satan or something. It was stupid.
Yeah, the point is that it was Satan, but it looked like a goat, and I think she fucked it.
Yeah, you gotta keep busy.
Yeah. Anyway, if I was going to make a film based on a superstition, I would probably make it on. It's hard because people make.
Want to make your own werewolf
films.
movie thing?
Oh, mate, yeah, I'd make a werewolf.
That's an urban sort of thing.
Oh shit, yeah, no, I'd make
a man wolf. What's it going to be? A Scottish werewolf. Imagine a big werewolf with a kilt on.
Kilt on. Yeah.
The Highland Ravager or something like that.
The Highland Ravager. Wait, mate, that's my stage name.
No, that's your porn name.
It's still an acting job. Get the fuck over it.
Are you ready to meet the Highlander?
Riley, where you going? Some people will get that. If you do, you know who you are. If you don't, you're lying.
So a Scottish werewolf.
Yeah, no,
movie.
I'd make a Scottish werewolf.
Okay, right. Is it a monster movie or is he the protagonist?
It's a monster movie, so it's a bit like The Wolfman with Benicio del Toro. It's also got Hugo Weaving in it. I love that film actually. It's
good film,
cool.
Yeah.
But instead of silver bullets, it's gonna be
solidified haggis.
Would that just make him stronger?
I don't know. It's your movie.
I mean, he eats sheep. Instead of silver bullets, to kill, that's what kills werewolves, isn't it? Yeah, silver bullets. It would have to be like something really fucking stupid, like non-alcoholic beer. So you like smash a non-alcoholic beer bottle over its head, and it's like the witch of not the witch.
And the tragedy being that there is no non-alcoholic beer in all of Scotland.
Yeah, exactly. So hear me out. Franchise that shit because he can't be killed, and make all the moolah. But and he'll melt because it'll be like in a big dusty book about like if you smash alcoholic beer or alcoholic-esque drinks. Like over him, then he'll melt like the Witch of the West. No, wait, that's Howl's Moving Castle. The Witch of the West, even. I'm melting, but because there's no alcohol in Scotland, means that I can make sequels. I will make at least 3. Will they be good? No, they will not. But it's gonna happen.
I'd like to see sequels take place in England. Let's carve up some English folk from a Scottish werewolf.
Yeah. And I'm going to call it...
Because there's an American werewolf in London. I want to see a Scottish werewolf in Liverpool.
Oh, yeah. That's good. And I'm gonna call it... I think I'm going to probably call it something like...
Why do you always mention names? We can't name anything on the spot.
Fine.
Okay, fine. What are you probably going to call it?
I said that I was going to call it Wane Spotting, because like a waning moon. But then, maybe not that.
Maybe not. Maybe
no. Furlander.
No. Oh, that's good.
Yeah, Furlander.
There we go.
Do you
know what the were means in werewolf? It's old language. It just means man. So man-wolf. Werewolf means man.
Where?
Which is what pisses me off in other media when they just prefix the word were, and that's like if you want to make a werewolf. So like there was a Sonic game called the Werehog. Well, and I don't think the people that made that realised that technically just means man-hog, not hog that's a wolf.
Wallace and Gromit, Curse of the Were-Rabbit.
Yeah, that's Man-Rabbit.
Yeah, quality film. I love that film.
Yes, but it's a wrong title and I fucking...
Well, why is it a wrong title? Oh, man and
wolf. Yeah,
wolf.
because were means man. So
so it's like saying wolf, man, wolf.
Well, yeah, that's what a werewolf is.
No, man, wolf, wolf.
What?
You said that were means man and wolf.
No, were just means man.
All right, so werewolf is man and wolf.
Yeah.
Were-rabbit is man and rabbit.
Exactly, a man-rabbit.
I was thinking about, like, you know how, like, you have shit like DC Comics? It's like DC means Detective Comics, but it's like Detective Comics comics.
Yeah, that is just redundancy at its finest.
Yeah.
Right, what's your next one?
All right. My next one is right. So we're talking about Bigfoot.
Okay.
We're talking about werewolves. Who would win in a fight between a werewolf and Bigfoot?
I think a werewolf, because
Really?
of claws and teeth, and Bigfoot is just a hairy human.
No, he's really big, isn't he?
Maybe? I mean,
I think
genetically,
Bigfoot's supposed
humans
to
have
be
only gotten
huge.
taller with time, so Bigfoot... Like, apparently you go back to the Middle
I don't
Ages
know
and
if they
everyone's,
have.
like, really short, aren't they?
Hang on, I'm going to look this up. How tall is Bigfoot?
So, I think people can only speculate, but... Yeah, I
Yeah.
think because humans have only gotten taller with time. I think because people, like, 500 years ago were a lot shorter than they are now.
Oh, yeah, he's called the Sasquatch as well, isn't he?
Yeah.
Oh, he's in Canadian folklore, yeah.
Hey, I saw a man... I saw a hairy man, eh? Look at my shit Canadian accent, feller. Like, what the fuck is that shit?
So obviously I'm on Wikipedia.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, cool. What? Oh, no, yeah. Apparently he's supposedly 6 to 9 feet tall.
9 feet.
Well, 6 to 9 feet tall, apparently.
I guess you kind of have to make it bigger than it would naturally be because there's no
Yeah.
short, scary thing.
No, there isn't. Apart from, I don't know.
Feminist.
Leprechauns.
You're scared of leprechauns?
No. But they're like a bit
I mean, I've
weird.
seen the horror films, the leprechauns and all that, and they're fucking
Yeah.
hilarious. He kills someone with a pogo stick.
Yeah, I guess people try and make the shit creepy. You know, like you know, you have creepy dolls in horror movies and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, like small stuff can be creepy.
Oh, Chucky films, I guess.
Yeah, those aren't really scary though anymore.
Depends what you're terrified of.
Yeah.
Right
exactly.
then, so yeah, I'd say it's a real no contest because I'm thinking like the
So a big
werewolves from like
werewolf.
Van Helsing and Dog
Oh,
Soldiers.
not like what about like the werewolf from Harry Potter? What about Lupin? Like, do you think Lupin
I
had
know
a fight
he-
with Bigfoot?
I know-
'Cause he's really skinny.
Yeah, I'm about to say, yeah, the Lupin werewolf needed a few sandwiches,
Yeah.
but
Well,
even him, he was a big
Although,
snout.
funnily enough, like a big snout.
Well, yeah.
Although to be fair, I actually found his werewolf way more like creepy looking than like a big hairy thing.
I think the key word we have to remember here is wolf, which means ferocity, sharp teeth and claws, and will rip your throat out.
Although, funnily enough, did you know the Wolverine is actually part of the Stoat family?
Really?
Yeah, it's really strange.
Huh. That
Yeah.
makes that story from X-Men Origins talking about the Wolverine howling at the moon make a lot less
Yeah.
sense.
Wolves howl at the moon. Wolverines
Don't
are
howl?
part of the no.
There's-
But it's like a thing. Like people think that wolves and Wolverines are like the same thing. They're not.
So is Wolverine from the comics act like similar to a Wolverine?
Well, I mean, he's called Wolverine. I mean,
Do they have big ass
he
claws?
sounds. I mean, they have sharp claws, but like they're smaller than wolves. Wolverines.
Ah, maybe that's why they just called him it because he's the shortest guy in the
It
team.
also sounds cooler. Like Wolverine sounds cooler than wolf.
Or like Marine and all that.
Yeah, and like wolf, like that sounds like a hitman, doesn't it? Like the wolf, but like Wolverine.
Or a
sounds-
contestant on Gladiators.
Yeah, I don't actually know. I haven't watched Gladiators.
Yeah, either, but it's a reference I know.
Yeah.
Right then, time for the final one. Okay,
Yeah.
you can be a patron god of something.
Oh yes, lads.
Now, when I say this, you can be a patron god of something, I mean this in the sense that you can be, say, for example, the god of combs.
A patron god or a patron saint?
Uh,
So I'd be Saint Rob, saint of.
I'm more saying you'd hold dominion over the entirety of people who drink water bottles.
Okay.
And in order
people
to...
who drink water bottles.
Yes, you are the patron god of
Okay.
drinking water bottles, and if people want to enjoy...
Patron god or patron saint?
Whatever. So, and if they want to enjoy their water bottle experience, they'd have to say whatever little prayer to you of
Yeah.
your choosing, and whatever you want as tribute.
Okay.
Or you'd punish them by, I don't know, making their water taste like piss. What are you the patron god of?
Oh man.
And what? How do people pay tribute to them?
Can
And
it
how
only
do you?
only be one thing, or can it be like a couple of things?
Nah,
It has to be one thing.
for now, one thing. If it's, I
Oh,
might let you do another one, but you have to say what tributes they give to you and how you punish them.
Oh! So I'm like people have to pay tributes to me and shit.
Well, if whatever they're about to do involving you, like, yeah, sort of thing. Like, obviously, people who pay tribute to Ares, god of war, before going into battle.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah, okay.
So whether or
Go on.
not you'd want to sacrifice or someone to just whittle on a gnome or something, it's up to you.
I mean, whittle on a gnome sounds like it's kind of easy. I think what I should do is make my tribute really easy.
Well, first tell us what you're the god of.
Okay, fine. I will be the god of I'll be the god of good asses.
Ooh.
Now,
okay.
I will tell you why. Because everyone loves a good ass. No matter, no matter what your sexuality is.
Male or female, by the way,
It can be both. It can be both.
America's ass.
Or Britain's ass or Sweden's ass. It doesn't really matter. Because everyone loves a good ass. It doesn't matter, like, if you're gay, straight, whatever it is you are, everyone loves a good ass.
I imagine someone who was at the bottom of the pile on an orgy during a stomach virus outbreak doesn't love a good ass.
No, but they want a good ass. You'd be like, is that ass so good that I want to see where the shit comes from? I don't know.
I won't lie, 70% of the people in my gym are squatting.
Yeah, right, exactly. Everyone loves a good ass. So I'd be the god of good asses. And also, I would make it really easy to pay tribute to me, because people don't like stuff that's difficult, right? So, like, sacrificing a lamb, that's kind of tricky, especially in this day and age. All right. So what I would do is I would make my idol just my face.
Can I just quickly say, what makes it tricky is finding the lamb, not actually having, the lack of morality of actually slitting its throat. I mean, you just find it an inconvenience to find the lamb.
Well, I mean,
you have no problem with slitting its throat.
Yeah, because people eat lamb, right? People.
Yeah, fair enough.
I don't know, but like finding but I mean, I'm talking about like 2020, like finding a live lamb, and you're like, I'm going to sacrifice this thing. You're like, what? No, that's kind of tricky. It's kind of difficult. Anyway, what I would do is I'd make my idol, instead of having a big statue of myself, I'd just have like a face, like my face, right, on a slab, and all people need to do is sit on my face.
And you will imbue their arse with your blessing.
Yeah.
And if they don't do this, you will punish those with flat butts.
Yeah. Yeah. Flat as fuck.
So just before Iggy Azalea goes out to do some twerking, like in the name of the Rob and the...
No, because she's got a fake ass. She's a heretic and she will burn in hell for a millennia. But, like, people that are like, I want a good ass, and I'm willing to pay tribute to this entity. I'm going to sit on his face and I'm going to have a good ass. And I'm going to be happy too, mate.
People that wear those padded pants with a butt outline. Heresy!
Yeah, exactly. And they shall be purged in the name of the... No, wait, sorry. different thing. But
who's going to be the Pope of your church for this sort of thing? And who's got the best arse in the world?
Who's got the best arse?
Is it between Chris Evans and fucking Scarlett Johansson?
Well, it's going to be whoever it is that sits on my face.
But again, not just a small one, a big...
Well,
does a big arse gain your favour as well?
No, not necessarily. It's up to, like, then they just want, like, a good... Because, like, some people, like, say someone was like, I want a big arse. Sit on my face, they get a big arse. Say someone says that, well, I don't want a big arse, but I want, like, a...
Sculpted arse.
Yeah, sculpted arse.
I can see a lot of Instagram influencers forming this cult for the patron saint.
Yeah, Instagram, exactly. And then that's how I will make my thingy on Instagram. I might.
Weird thing is, that must be the most positive religion I have ever heard of.
Yeah.
That could compete with Buddhism for peacefulness.
And just bettering yourself, because
yes, the world is always better with nicer butts.
So remember, when you want to feel good about yourself, come pray to me. I'll compliment your ass.
And burn the heretics.
Yeah, the people with fake asses and the people that also the people that Photoshop their asses. I'll know, because I'll be,
And people that wear nothing but yoga pants.
Oh yeah, no, those people who wear leggings and stuff. Oh no, terrible.
Terrible. If you stop fronting, if you had a butt, you wouldn't need to. All right then, I think that's all the questions then.
Yeah, it is.
Fantastic! Wow. Under 30 minutes. Fucking hell, we must be under the weather.
Yeah, I mean the fact that you said Bigfoot within less than 0.5 seconds kind of, I think, sped things up a little bit. But we're talking about superstitions, just in case you guys skip the fucking intro of half an hour.
Or generally just us wanking.
Yeah. Anyway,
Well, you were talking earlier about us getting demonetized.
yeah.
YouTube's...
Not that we were monetized, like, ever, but...
Yeah, that's the point. You made, like, YouTube's Skynet system not showing our video to anyone.
Yeah, not that we would monetize stuff, because we have integrity. Sorry, that was a lie.
We're just not popular yet. We will be sluts the second we can.
Yeah, exactly. That's quite literally true. You heard it here first. But we are talking about superstitions. Now,
YouTube can be my Chris Brown. Hit me again.
Oh, God.
Thank you, sir. May I have another?
You could have said Britney Spears, "Hit me, baby, one more time." You could have said that. Anyway,
be the Amber Heard to our Johnny Depp.
Oh, fuck me! Like, that's bad because he fucking lost that case. As well.
Yeah, to the Sun.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that was bullshit.
Fuck the Sun. They don't even put good shit on page 3 anymore.
I've always hated the Sun, especially as a ginger.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Anyway, yeah.
Urban legends. Right, Rob, I actually have quite a few obscure urban legends. As you know, I'm quite versed in the folklore of a lot of Asia and that sort of thing. But let's stay a little West-centric for the moment.
Yeah.
What would you say is your favourite Western urban palaga?
Well, see, I was thinking about this, and in pretty much sort of like kind of every kind of culture in the world, right? The idea of dragons existing and being a thing, it exists in Western culture, it exists in Chinese culture, although the dragons are very different from each other. But there is this running theme with dragons.
I would like to see if the Eskimos have a dragon.
I reckon they might have a snow dragon. Yeah. Like the Night King.
I think we're just like eternally. I think dragons are just like the eternal embodiment of perfect fantasy. A giant power. Again, there's a reason I'm tattooed in them. Is because there's this giant thing of beauty, power, grace, and godliness.
Maybe not beauty necessarily with dragons, but
dragons can be very majestic and graceful.
I mean, certainly in Chinese culture. Like in Chinese culture, I believe that dragons could like talk and control the weather. They're basically gods.
Yes.
Whereas like in kind of European, they're like these big lizards that destroy stuff.
Or if not gods, like very potent spirits.
Yeah.
Dragon spirits and the like.
Yeah. And
talking about you, Mushu.
Yeah, and Eddie Murphy, mate. Fucking, why weren't you in the new Mulan film? Why wasn't Mushu in the Mulan film? Anyway, moving on. Here's the thing. I can totally see why people, would believe that dragons existed. And it might not come as a huge surprise that it probably comes from the fact that people discovered dinosaur skeletons, right? And so, for instance, dinosaurs, because there were dinosaurs that swam, right? And it's kind of hard when you find a prehistoric skeleton that has flippers. To someone that doesn't really know, that might look like wings. And so you discover this...
Well, even the Bible mentions dragons.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
I believe there's even a verse referring to Satan himself as a 5-headed dragon.
Really?
Yes, there is.
So, but you can totally see why someone might say that, because they might have discovered like a dinosaur skeleton. And like you find this thing, right? And then it's like, Chinese whispers. I found this skeleton. Oh, it must have been like this massive sort
What's
of
that?
thing.
Chinese whiskers? I think that's a bit racist.
I'm sorry. Oh no, that made it worse.
No, the gag there was that I misheard you.
What? But like you can totally see why like someone who discovered like a dinosaur skeleton would be like, it's like this lizard, right? And then Chinese whiskers, like you said, it snowballs, right? So it's this thing, and it's got these arms. Oh, it can fly, and then as people tell the story over and over and over to all their friends, oh, now it can breathe fire, and it.
I've always wanted to understand the justification, even in fantasy films, like how the hell do these things breathe fire? Do they have a coal furnace in their fucking stomach? Yeah, like you can't. There's no other you can't even wank biology wise and be like, oh, there is a way for this to naturally. No, nothing
Yeah.
can just breathe fucking.
But that's the
fire.
thing, though, isn't it? It's like sort of people embellishing stories, and then this skeleton that you found, which if you don't know what it is, you're gonna be like, oh my god, this is really fucking amazing.
Well, who wouldn't want to breathe fire?
Yeah, exactly. And then the stories they snowball, and it's oh yeah, it can breathe fire. Oh, it can fly, and it destroys whole towns and cities. And that's where I think the idea of dragons maybe came from. It's from people finding dinosaurs.
Well, the idea of how human superstition correlates with how urban legends are created themselves. Obviously, people are very impressionable, very creative, and very imaginative. So, if, like you said, humans coming across something they don't understand, their mind has to make understanding for itself to continue. A human being they're naturally curious, and we can't just like, I don't understand that. Moving on.
Yeah.
Humans will create understanding until we are given the truth.
Yeah.
Turns out that we reject the truth.
Yeah, we're not sort of like docile like that. It's like the thing. There'll always be someone that wants to see what's on the other side of the hill. Yeah. Isn't there?
And we'll come across things we don't understand, great wonderment, great amazement, and we will create understanding. We hear giant roars that turned out to be thunder and lightning. We're like, oh, that fucking...
It's this dude called Thor, okay? And...
Yes, he rides a chariot carried by goats.
Yeah.
And he has a big hammer.
Which... and it's like, oh yeah, but it's not just him. There's this other guy called Odin, and this other dude called Loki, and then it's...
I do like that old gag against Christians, like, be careful, your god was nailed to a cross and my god has a hammer.
No, his son was nailed to
Oh,
a
yeah,
cross.
And Thor has a hammer, think about that. But I think talking about how gods come about...
But, like, also, if he has his chariot drawn by goats, like, what did the horses go on strike? Goats and maybe a mountain goat. You get mountain goats.
Well, Odin himself rides Sleipnir, the spawn of Loki, has 8 legs.
Yeah, wasn't there that thing that Loki transformed himself into a horse or some shit?
A female horse and gave birth to Sleipnir. Yeah. Loki liked to. Yeah, he did that a lot.
Yeah, I mean to be fair, it's Tom Hiddleston, so like, I understand. I get it.
He also had a giant wolf as a baby.
Was that wolf called like Fenrir or something?
Yeah, that's Fenrir. The one destined to kill Odin in Ragnarok.
Because in Harry Potter, there's Fenrir Greyback, who's like a werewolf. He's a bad werewolf, though.
That's a bit on the fucking nose.
Fenrir. Yeah, I know, a little
God damn it, Rowling, really?
Yeah.
But,
oh, yeah, aren't also, like, people, like... Is this right that people are were made out of driftwood in Viking lore?
No. The way humans came about was when Odin himself murdered Ymir, who pretty much was the cosmic grandfather of all of existence, and through his entrails flooding the entire planet, man came about from that, and that's why he was considered the all-father of mankind.
That is the most Viking thing I've heard in my entire life.
Yeah, true. Odin literally disemboweled the grandfather god of everything, and his entrails flooded the earth, creating all of Midgard and spawning man.
Yeah.
Fun fact, the only reason Thor ever got Mjolnir started with Loki shaving his wife's head in her sleep.
That just sounds like it's just a prank, bro. It's just a prank.
It was.
Yeah, exactly.
And Odin and Thor got really pissed off, and Loki said, "Okay, hang on. I'll get some dwarfs to make you some presents. It'll all be okay." And that's how he ended up getting Mjolnir.
That literally just sounds like a party that like went wrong, right?
It really any story that's in Norse mythology pretty much starts with Loki did this.
Yeah, it's like any story in Greek mythology is Zeus was feeling horny and
yeah. Yeah, that's true. But no, we're talking about... Because I think there is a big difference to how humans create, obviously, deities against how urban legends and that sort of spawns itself. I think urban legends are less cultural and more of an environmental sort of conditioning.
Urban legends?
Well, for example, like I said, how werewolves come about. You'd never get a werewolf mythology that could ever come about in, like, Greenland. It would have to come from rural communities that are used to woodlands and all that sort of things that can have the imagination to eventually create something like that.
Oh, right. Because I always think of urban legends like... I always think of urban legends more like kind of stories I mean, we're going to go into stories of kind of sort of like scary stories that happen. So like there's a documentary called Cropsy, which was there's this urban legend about there was this guy, I think it's on Netflix, I think still, about a guy that used to take kids in the woods and murder them.
If you're listening to this in the future and Netflix has disappeared,
yeah.
Do you remember Netflix before they went bankrupt? Weren't they cool? There was a lot of shit on there.
Yeah, do you remember when Pornhub was a thing? But
that'll ever go.
Yeah, no, it won't. Everyone's a wanker. So that was like one of the things where it was like an urban legend, but actually turned out to be true. There was a guy that was actually like killing kids, and the documentary is called Cropsy, and that was the kind of name that people gave to this like supposedly this entity that killed kids.
Well, urban legends are just a dressed up tall tale, and like with any tall tale, there is a nugget of truth there.
Yeah, I always find I think urban legends. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I feel like urban legends are sort of like more modern things that have like come up. Like you have creepypastas and things like that.
Granted, but because of the widespread of the internet, it's a lot harder to get people to believe urban legends.
Yeah.
One I recall did work. Again, that was the creepypasta. Was the Russian sleep experiment?
Do you know what? I was literally going to say that. Like
that was widely believed, along with Slender Man.
Yeah.
How that exploded.
There were two girls that actually murdered someone.
Yeah, the Slender Man film, I believe, is about them.
Yeah. But that was based on an actual crime of two girls that murdered this other girl and said that they did it for Slender Man.
Yeah, told them to do it and all that sort of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, next time pick a figure that has a mouth. Slender Man has a face. Yeah. First question if I'm a detective, it is how?
Yeah. Also, he was immaculately dressed.
Yes. It is very nice for, urban legends to, adapt to modern things.
Yeah, creepypastas and things like that too. Like you were saying about the Russian sleep experiment. Like, I think that's the one thing is that, like if you dress something up that's like believable enough, then people will believe it. And also, I think
because in the Second World War, lots of agencies were experimenting with drugs on their soldiers.
And Cold War, and that's the thing as well. I think also, like, as Westerners, we're sort of like, oh yeah, the Russians are just nuts. So you can totally believe that they would do this.
Yeah, but
as Westerners, I mean, they are nuts. But yeah, exactly. But that's the thing, like that sort of culture that I guess Westerners create about Russians.
I don't think that's just a result of propaganda. The Red Scare is a result of propaganda, but there is a certain hardiness to Russia that is very mercenary.
About Russians that are just like they are like. I mean, look at just what Russia. I mean, you don't have to look far to see just like crazy Russian videos, but then look at like how Russia kind of is throughout history.
I was about to say, to be fair, the last maybe 40. They had about 40 years of ongoing communist dictatorship. It's not unreasonable to put these stereotypes out there when they did live in horrible.
And
realities.
again, you can wrap it up with the truth. Do you know what I mean? It's like they definitely experimented on like prisoners of war and shit. Because the Japanese did that in World War II in Unit 731. That was fucking awful. They used to inject people with plague, tested flamethrowers on them, like real bad
Put Baby
shit.
Shark on loop.
I reckon, I mean, let's not scare Satan. Okay?
I bite my tongue off after 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Because I've worked in holiday parks. There is a special circle in hell reserved for that fucking song.
And it's not even in hell. It's like outside of hell because Satan doesn't want it there.
Exactly. It's the non-existent 10th circle of hell.
Yeah.
The final circle of hell. I believe that the 9th one was resumed for betrayers and all that sort of thing. Then Satan. But then there's that mythical 10th version. That's the hell's basement.
Yeah. And then there's the little room to the side where we're going.
To sit on our thrones.
Yeah, exactly. There's another thing that...
I'd say Slender Man was the most one that actually... I'm talking about ones that actually people fell for. Because people then were like, is this real? And then people faked photos of like kids in a playground, putting them in the background, and everyone took it at face value.
Yeah, I think it's called like an online role-playing game or something, where...
There's a lot of those.
Yeah, but it's like that where people... So it's mainly to do with kind of urban legends and scary shit, where it's kind of all like a big kind of like, say, mysteries, creepy stuff, but everyone kind of makes up their own thing, and it's all kind of like a big role-playing thing. There's like big things about that. I think definitely the Russian sleep experiment was something that happened where people, would say, oh yeah, no, this happened. But I think for people looking in on the outside, they didn't quite understand that it necessarily wasn't real. But it was easy, like I said, wrap the truth up,
Well, yeah, because it was believed
wrap it up in the truth. Because you can believe shit.
Because it said in the story, eventually the people that were going, and you saw pictures as well, people that were 20 days without sleeping, they looked so fucked up.
Yeah.
And they were tearing out their own entrails and shit like that. That's not very comrade of you.
Yeah, and it was at that point I was like, yeah, you can't rip out your own guts and still be alive.
Not still be alive, but there are probably plenty of meth heads that have pulled out their own eyeball.
Yeah, bar salt zombies. There's another urban legend. It's not an urban legend. It's superstition. And this goes back. It's vampires. Now we all know about Vlad the Impaler, right? Who people say was like the original Dracula.
Well, yeah. What about him?
Well, vampires, right?
Well, my first recollection is obviously, as a ginger myself, redheads were often persecuted back in the Middle Ages, believed that people of red hair were touched by the devil and they were witches.
Yeah.
And witches and vampires and the like.
Yeah, sort of lump you all in. We will get onto witches in a moment. But vampires. So Vlad the Impaler, people call him like the real Dracula. That's kind of a thing that he's...
I'm more a fan of Alucard.
And obviously there are vampire films. Now, what I find is quite interesting is I recently watched the BBC Dracula, the Stephen Moffat one. I don't know if you've seen that.
Is that the Gary Oldman one?
No, it's not. But the idea that vampires have changed quite a lot. I think when people think of vampires now...
You don't say. Yeah. Twilight.
Yeah. People think of vampire, if you ask someone to think of a vampire, what do you think? You think of kind of the suave Gary, Bela Lugosi.
Bela Lugosi, yeah. Wearing sort of Victorian clothes. Yeah,
exactly. He's got slick back hair. He's suave. He's kind of a bit sexy.
A wine glass with blood in it.
Yeah, so he's kind of sexy. But then you have ones like Nosferatu, where it's really creepy and shit, right? And Nosferatu, who's totally not that. He's almost animalistic.
You've seen the little silent film of Nosferatu.
Oh, right? Yeah, no, the first original Dracula vampire.
With those two didn't have the modern fangs as well. It's his front teeth were the fangs and they were long and gnarled.
Yeah.
With really long fingernails and all that sort of thing.
It was really grotesque and the way he
great
walked,
visuals.
Oh yeah, it was one really great. I remember I watched it in film studies. But there are urban legends about people who, were quote unquote vampires.
How do you think the concept of the things surrounding vampires will come about? For example, the fangs and needing to drink blood to survive.
Well, it's not just blood, it's the blood of virgins, isn't it?
Not just virgins. I think it's is it virgins? I thought it was just the virgins they take on as their harem.
No, I think it is specific. They have to have virgin blood because it's
obviously
quote unquote, pure. And I think that goes back to almost a religious thing, is that people believe virginity is
and in modern age that had to go out the window because there were no virgins left.
Yeah, exactly. And not that anyone really cares that much about
vampires
virginity.
In Newcastle would starve.
Yeah, come down here, Newcastle. Oh wait, you can't. We're in a pandemic.
Oh. We're so close.
What? To Newcastle?
Oh, God, no.
No.
I think, obviously, because blood has been something that has been insanely... Every single culture has mentioned blood in one shape or form.
Funnily enough, it keeps us alive.
From sacrificing to this and that, people bathing in blood and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, but sacrifice... even, Aztec sacrifices, they, sacrifice virgins, didn't they? And you have the the Virgin Mary. I think this definitely goes back to where people put a sort of a kind of capital on virginity.
That's always been the most hilarious thing for me for Christians that try and advertise abstinence. Never have sex and you can't get pregnant. What about the Virgin Mary?
Yeah. But that was Immaculate Conception or whatever, wasn't it?
Yeah, the amount of women that have tried that one since then. The birth of the greatest con ever conceived. God got me pregnant. Not Phil down the road. God got me pregnant.
Or, Joseph, your husband. I don't know. Oh, but that was the thing, though, wasn't it? It was like the Immaculate Conception. That's what it's called, isn't it?
But not so much hanging on the virgins, like the long fangs and all that sort of thing. Why humans would associate the idea of humans having extra elongated canines, attaching that to the myth.
Well, yeah, because I suppose, if you want to draw blood, human teeth aren't great for drawing blood, are they?
But that's the thing. I always imagine once the fangs are in the neck, you've got fangs in the neck. You can't start drinking from there, can you? You'd have to put the fangs in, pull them out, and then start drinking. But they always just go straight from the bite in and they're instantly drinking.
Yeah, but it's easier to draw blood with fangs than it is with human teeth.
Couldn't you just make a fucking little cut on the arm and just drink from that? They got the long fingernails, slice, drink.
Do they all have long fingernails?
If we're going on the idea.
I mean, they must have evolved to have fangs at some point. Do you think vampires evolved? Eventually they were like, you know what? We need to drink blood, right? But currently, we need to evolve throughout thousands and thousands of years in order to make that more efficient. So we grew fangs.
Obviously, like you were saying before, it probably does fall on religious superstitions. The idea of unholy abominations that will defile your virgin daughters, that will drink your blood, or the blood of the innocent. And obviously they need to attach grotesque features to the idea of these people.
Unless you make them a really suave vampire, in which case you're like, I guess.
But then how come there were witch hunts, but there were never vampire hunts?
Oh, there were vampire hunts.
Well, but obviously not on as large a scale as the witch hunts and the witch trials and all that.
No, not as large a scale as that, but there were not really necessarily vampire hunts, but there were sort of desecrations of graves.
What, mausoleums and the
people? Yeah, that people thought housed vampires.
Oh, because they're sleeping in a coffin.
Yeah, and so people would dig up these graves, and would
what, they think vampires buried themselves alive?
Well, no, because they're undead, right?
Well, yeah, of course.
But so for instance, a story of a guy called Richard Cavell who killed his wife and
he thought she was a vampire.
And no. Everyone thought he was a vampire because he was really evil and shit. And then they dug up his grave and stabbed a stake through his heart, through his body. And shit, because people thought he was a vampire and they didn't want him because there was a murder, and I think there was a decapitated corpse of a young woman that was found near the graveyard where he was buried. And
that's the thing that used to be the old way. I think it might just have applied to Dracula and all that sort of thing, but obviously it might apply to all vampires at the time, or just Dracula. There was 10 steps to killing him. First you had to take the stake through his heart, then you had to decapitate him. Then I believe you had to carry the head over a bridge of running water and then there was all these different apparent steps and to finally defeat him. Because if you just do the one thing, they'll live.
Well, maybe that's Dracula, because I think he's the big boss.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. But apparently, there's all the vampire rules, and for some reason, even though we like to pair vampires against werewolves, werewolves only have one weakness, the silver bullet, and no rules. They can go out in sunlight. But vampires, they can't enter a house unless invited. They got the garlic. They got the fucking daylight and everything.
Garlic and daylight and shit.
Vampires have a million rules around them and everything. I wonder why the house thing.
I suppose werewolves are I guess they can only be werewolves in when it's full moon.
But no one considers werewolves to be the children of Satan. They're just some sort of abomination beast.
I think it's because I think that's why. It's because werewolves, when they turn into werewolves, they're sort of mindless creatures, whereas vampires are intelligent.
Oh, they're conscious of what they're doing, so that makes them more evil.
Yeah, if you know what you're doing, makes you more.
Even nowadays, you struggle to see conscious werewolves. Even in the Underworld films, and Twilight films, they seem only semi-conscious.
Is he a conscious werewolf in the Twilight? I've only seen the first one.
They seem, sadly, I've seen them all. No. They seem to recognise the other people and all that, and they can be spoken to, but
Yeah. But I think that's the thing, is maybe it's like diminished responsibility. Like if you're just a mad werewolf, they're like, oh, he doesn't know what he's doing. Whereas if you're a vampire, it's like, mate, you know what you're doing.
I wonder if that Twilight is a
no.
result of like being away from that sort of religious oppression, because there's a saying in the video game community,
Urban fantasy.
Like war games are less popular the closer they are to a country that's actually like a war zone. So the country that's the furthest away from any kind of warfare loves war games.
Yes.
So I wonder if people who were able to make all this Twilight shit was because they're completely removed from any sort of oppression that would have subjugated that.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, Call of Duty 4 was banned in the Middle East because obviously like, there's like missions where you're sort of... You're not like necessarily in a specific country, but you are in the Middle East and you're, you know, as a US Marine shooting like Middle Eastern soldiers. And there's, you know, so that was banned. But yeah, no, I think there's definitely something to be said.
How we made these things that were once superstitions, and those things that existed, but made them... We culturally changed them,
it's
didn't
pop
we?
culture, isn't it?
Did we turn urban myth into pop culture?
Well, I think... I mean, vampires are definitely pop culture, aren't they?
I guess there is so much media, and
so
the goddamn book I'm writing has vampires in it. Granted, they're the evil ones.
Yeah, I reckon though, if you had a werewolf that was like intelligent and could speak, I think it might come off as comical.
I hope not, because that's in my book.
Oh, well, hopefully you'll like write it.
What do you mean, hopefully?
I mean, I'm sure you'll write it, but the thing is, it's like with the Hulk, right?
Okay.
It's like everyone was talking about. So the Hulk, in a way, is a bit like a werewolf.
But the MCU changed that, didn't they? They made him conscious.
Yeah, which made him. It's like
shit.
Like when he's the Hulk, like he's supposed to be like fucking trashing shit, but then they're making the Hulk, and he's just like, just basically Bruce Banner. You're like,
we got a bit of the proper Hulk in Age of Ultron, but then when it got to fucking... I don't know, he always seemed to be aware and not really much of a rampaging dick.
Yeah, which is kind of what the Hulk's supposed to be.
Well, yes, even though he is an actual Avenger, he can go too far and all that. That's the whole premise of him.
That's the whole point. Like, when he gets too angry, he just goes absolute ham.
I've already talked about how much I hated, Professor Hulk from Infinity War and all that.
Oh, yeah.
Or was it Endgame? They introduced him. Yeah, they introduced him in Endgame. I hated that. But that's the sort of thing. Maybe we're trying to step away from being scared of this. We've obviously the last few decades from being scared of the supernatural to almost being inducted by them. Because now we got all these films, media people wanting to be vampires, wanting to be werewolves, wanting all this sort of thing. We're no longer scared of them because of religion. We now want to almost join them so we can be immortal and shit.
And because they're not like the bad guys. Because you know, it's like Twilight. He's not like the bad guy, is he? Even though he is a vampire, technically. Not technically. Literally, he's a vampire, but he's portrayed as the good guy.
I would say...
And even in The Wolfman, he's like... he's the good guy, isn't he?
Yeah. I would say the fear of superstition relating to the fear unknown is very similar to the fear of... that was originally there, the fear of technology and the fear of progress. You fear what you don't understand, but as you come to comprehend it, you want to assimilate yourself more with it. Like, people may have originally been scared of smartphones, but now we want to be more involved with smartphones than ever, to the point some people are planting, like, phone chips in their head and shit like that.
I think we're also, getting to that point where, like... Well, actually, not even getting to that point. We are at that point where smartphones are a necessity. Like, if you don't have a smartphone now, like, you're so disadvantaged in pretty much your life.
Oh, you'd be surprised with track and trace the amount of people that suddenly don't have a phone.
Yeah, but they're still on Facebook and shit. Like...
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying is, I think that's how superstitions have evolved to the point where we no longer try and push them out, but we bring them in and want them to tell us their secrets.
Yeah, and
make ourselves stronger from them.
Yeah, and also
like with technology.
And also like interest as well, like interest in stuff about stuff we don't know. Because like I said, earlier, there's always going to be someone that wants to see what's on the other side of the hill, right?
Oh, of course, human nature.
Yeah. One of those ones. Well, I mean, I suppose two of those ones, one of them's kind of the opposite of the other. Well, not the opposite of the other, but kind of related. You're going to go into this, is the fact that, back in, all those years ago, like witches and stuff, right?
Ah, yes.
People were absolutely terrified of witches. Most infamous of which, you have like the witch trials. You have Salem.
Quick bit of context, listeners. While me and Rob will never allude to our political stances, sexuality, and all that sort of thing on here, I do have a history in the past
or religious
of being involved in what is known as Wicca, actual witchcraft. So I know a fair bit about the intricacies inside there. This is just for a little bit of context as we carry on.
Yeah, we will not tell you our religious viewpoints
how we are right now, not at all.
But unless you worship Slanesh, get the fuck out of here.
Cthulhu brothers unite. But carry on.
Yeah. Or Papa Nurgle. Shh, don't tell Slanesh. But
is that a Warhammer reference?
What do you think?
Blood for the blood god.
That's Korn.
Good band. Carry on.
Yeah. Anyway, so witches, right? And people that can, kind of perform magic. We talked sort of a little bit about Harry Potter and stuff like that.
Oh, they'll get their video.
Yeah, they'll get their video. We're going to record that one tonight, actually, aren't we?
Oh, yes.
Anyway, so like witches and stuff like that. That, I think, is a prime example of fear of the unknown, where humans, instead of being curious and trying to find out more, actually just reacted incredibly kind of rashly.
Quick side note, why do you think people immediately associated these powers with women? Obviously, warlocks and... by the way, a warlock is not the male version of a witch. Males were witches as well. Warlock was known as oath breakers and people that did black magic.
Yeah, I don't know. I play rogue. But I was thinking about this the other day. Like, why is it specifically witches that...
women were women.
Yeah, witches were women.
To be fair, in a lot of religious subjugation, women often got the short end of the stick.
Yeah, that's true.
So a woman starts acting out at home. That's sort of starting to sound like witch talk, dear.
Yeah, that's a Simpsons episode, isn't it?
Holy shit,
yeah, it's like,
it was. Lisa
like witch dog, Lisa.
Yeah. Dad, that's our house. She's a witch.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. I reckon there's definitely something...
Those trials were bullshit.
There's definitely something to...
Fucking Monty Python did it as well. Yeah. Determining what's a witch.
Yeah. And also, the way that they, quote unquote, found out. It's like, oh, right, so if you drown, it's okay, because your soul will go to heaven. If you live, well, then you're a witch, and we're going to burn you to death. Like...
If they could survive a drowning, why would you think the burning would kill them?
I don't know. I honestly do not know.
Well, that was the thing. Obviously, they never had a confirmed witch, obviously, ever, did they?
Yeah, but I think one of the prime examples of where superstition, where humans have lashed out because they fear what they don't know and therefore they act aggressively. And I think that happens.
Well, I think that was captured really perfectly in the Monty Python, because that whole sketch was about how uneducated and stupid the townspeople were, to the point they just wanted a witch to burn.
Yeah.
And they go to the only guy that can make any possible sense, and even he contrives a bullshit experiment.
In Salem,
no education at all for peasants.
And in Salem, like the conviction and killing of like women was based on the fact that children were saying shit.
You could almost relate it to the McCarthy trials.
McCarthyism, yeah.
Yeah,
like the
absolute bullshit.
The Rosenbergs and stuff. The Red Scare is what it's called. So everyone's so afraid that they're just going to accuse people.
That was a modern witch hunt.
Yeah, exactly, it was. Because here's the thing. It's like, say that, I don't know, like say hypothetically, I didn't really like you and you...
Hypothetically.
Okay, well, let's say hypothetically you owed me some money, right? And you hadn't paid me back the money that you owed me, and
you call me a communist and get
then
me tied away.
Oh yeah, no, that fucking guy, he has got red hair, and you know what's also red? The Russian flag. Get it? Yeah, it's
similar to the Gestapo in Germany as well, sort of thing. Ratting out your neighbours and shit like that.
Yeah, exactly. Informing on your neighbours.
Which was, what they did in the witch hunt. But the thing is, they would contrive, like, for example, if your neighbour had washed their clothes and got it whiter than yours, she's obviously a witch.
Yeah. Oh,
because we're peasants and we're covered in shit. How has she got white clothes?
Yeah.
Witch.
And stuff like that. It's like, oh, well, I'm... Yeah, and... also, sort of things. It's like jealousy, right? Like people get jealous, right? Like, can you imagine, like, if you
Coveting.
had like a crop that didn't do so well, but then your neighbor had a crop that did really well, you'd be like, oh, that's probably magic, mate.
My husband fell off a ladder. Our neighbor cursed him.
Yeah.
So much of that bullshit. But again, but there's also, I imagine religious groups would happily encourage that kind of talk, because not only did people then put all of their faith, ergo their money, in the church to protect them from witches, but they get the self-satisfaction of being able to persecute people they themselves don't like.
But it's like back then, exactly. It's like the thing, it's like accusing someone of a witch, saying it's like accusing someone of being like a communist and shit,
Which in America almost still works today.
Which in America...
There are a lot of ways in
Depends
America where if you accuse someone of being America still has such a irrational fear of communism and socialism, that's the first thing they bark up when you talk about like socialized healthcare and
I think
all
it
that.
depends where you are, though.
I don't know.
For
some reason all of America
is
still...
If you talked about like socialism in like California, I reckon like you'd be alright. But if you talked about like socialism in like Texas, you'd be very unalright.
Even the blue states and the Democrats still were like, no socialized healthcare and all that sort of thing. Like even the supposed liberals of America still have a hatred of communism. And again, that's probably because the Red Scare was a lot more fearful in America than they were over here.
Also the fact that communism is fucking awful.
Yeah, it
is, right? Like,
it's never been represented well in its truest form. Obviously, Lenin was at the height of a revolution and obviously had an ideal more setting to it. And obviously, as he went away and then...
But, like, Stalin was kind of like Lenin's mate, and if Stalin's your mate, you're probably not the greatest guy in the world. I'm just saying.
Hey, you don't hire Boy Scouts to help you win a war.
No, you hire Stalin.
And this was overthrowing fucking royalty here.
They didn't even fight a war though. They just had a revolution.
I could say that's somewhat of a very quick civil war.
I don't know. It seems pretty slow to be pulled up. Anyway,
back to witches.
Yeah, back to witches.
But yeah, obviously the witches, their little superstitions, obviously flying on a broomstick. Don't know how that ever fucking came about.
Yeah.
Why they immediately associated women with broomsticks. Flying I can understand, but fucking broomsticks.
I guess it's sort of stuff. It's like sort of stuff you have close to hand that you can cast a spell on.
Yeah, then obviously there's like black cats, the idea of of an old woman that lived by herself, a spinster, because if you weren't pregnant by 14, you're nothing to the world by then.
Well, I mean, if you're 14, you're already having a midlife crisis, aren't you? So...
That's the thing. So you're like, okay, no one will marry me anymore because I'm no longer 10. I'll get a few cats, and you live alone. Oh, you're a witch.
Yeah.
That was their fucking reason.
I believe that pirates thought that a black cat on a ship was a good sign.
Well, again...
For like a good voyage, like you'd have good weather for a voyage.
Believe it or not, ninjas, you're going to swear I'm making this up, ninjas would actually use cats' eyes to tell what time it was.
How?
I can't tell you specifics, but I do know this is an absolute fact. If it was late at night and there was a full moon out, a ninja would take out a cat, look at its eye, and be able to tell what time it is from the cat's eye.
Huh. Did they get it right a lot, or?
I imagine so. Otherwise, I think they would have stopped doing it.
Sorry. Yeah. So we got witches, right? Got witches. Another thing that, much like with dragons, and also witches all throughout the world, is that people believe in ghosts.
Oh yes, ghosts have forever been a staple, which again closely
of human every culture believes in ghosts, right?
And I'd say every culture with a religion believes in ghosts. So just about
pretty much every. I don't think there's any culture that actually doesn't have like a religion, right? Really?
No, I can't think of any.
And you can say atheist, but it's like at some point atheists. Like, to become an atheist, you would have had to believe in a religion at some point, right?
Not necessarily, but the fallacy there is that there is no country of atheists.
No,
that sprouts from within a country. There's no country that's an established no. Yeah,
but it's like if you're an atheist now, right? It's like you you'd find a reason not. You'd have to know about the religion at least to become an atheist.
Well, yeah, you're taught it in school when you're forced to sing the hymns, but I bet a lot of kids just did as they were told, never really believed
I
it.
I kind of like the song. I like the Christmas carols. I'll say that. But
fair enough. But yes, ghosts.
Yeah, ghosts are a big thing, and there's a story. Well, not a story. There's a fact, right? Is that so during the Vietnam War, the Americans, as a thing of psychological warfare, right?
Oh, really? They weren't too nice over there, were they?
Well, I mean, psychological warfare.
They didn't play Baby Shark on loudspeakers going through those jungles, did they?
Well, no, that would be that'd be really bad, right?
Vietnamese POW camp.
But it was called Operation Wandering Soul. Now, what they did was they played these really creepy radio kind of sounds that were supposed to sound like dead spirits. Now, the Vietnamese are very superstitious. They believe that if you do not bury someone properly, then their spirit walks the earth, basically.
Cool.
And the Americans knew this, and so they played this pretty horrific sort of sounding stuff. So you can imagine if you're sort of a Vietnamese fighter.
I'm worried you're about to play it.
I am about to play it.
Oh shit.
All right, and then you start like hearing this, which is going to start playing in like a moment. He says, in like the middle of the night.
That just sounds like a really shit circus.
Yeah, there's different types. There's different.
Well, yeah, scrambled radio frequencies. Like, how long has that been a staple in horror of like a ghost fucking around with electronics?
Yeah, but they make you believe, right? Like, no, they make you believe. But like, if you believe that that's true, and then you start hearing this shit that you've never heard before, you're like, oh fuck, like this is like really bad, and it's like psychological.
So it worked.
I don't know. But the Americans certainly believe that it would work enough to actually do it, and that is again playing on superstitions. Well, scare the shit out of them. Like if you think that there's like an actual like spirit that's wandering, the earth, like you're gonna be shit scared.
My biggest problem with ghosts in terms of superstitions is why there are no cavemen ghosts.
You don't know there aren't any caveman ghosts.
Yeah, but every supposed sighting usually never goes back further than like a Victorian ghost.
Yeah.
Like,
how do you know there's no caveman ghosts though?
Because, supposedly every reported sighting of a ghost has never been like anything of an age before the 1700s.
But that doesn't mean that there's no caveman ghosts.
I'm just talking about
maybe they're hiding in caves.
Ghosts that have been supposedly represented.
Maybe they're hiding in caves.
Yeah, maybe.
But I've actually got a ghost story.
Okay.
From a viewer, which I think I alluded to earlier.
All right, then we'll finish off on a spooky story.
Yeah. We've hit.
If you've agreed with a lot of our opinions on urban legends, superstitions and all that, or you have some fun superstitions of your own, drop it down in the comments.
Yeah.
And we will happily read them out in our next one.
Yeah.
Any questions at all, once again, feel free to comment below.
Yeah, please.
Way to stay strong there, Rob.
Yeah.
We don't need your validation.
Got a story from Molly.
Right. Oh, thanks for the story, Mole.
Thank you very much. So Molly writes, her mum was living in London in the mid 80s. 1980s, not 1880s. Just to clarify.
Hey, all the 1780s.
All the 1780s, yeah.
There's been a lot of 80s.
But I imagine it's the 1980s.
I look forward to 2080. See if we get some good music as the 1980s.
I mean, I don't plan on living that long.
I'll see to that.
Suicide pact, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, her mum was living in London during the mid 1980s, and she had a dream about her niece, and she hadn't seen her for 3 years. I'm not going to say the niece's name, because privacy reasons, right? Anyway, hadn't seen her niece for 3 years. She was age 3. This was a random dream, what he says. Lisa was on her lap, and she was consoling her because she was crying. Her mum woke up, thought nothing of it, and continued on with her day.
Fair.
3 days later, she got a call that the niece's baby sister had actually passed away. Now that's not necessarily a ghost story, but it's quite odd in a way.
I guess that is spooky and fair enough. Thank you so much for the story, Molly. That was actually very interesting. However, I've heard a lot of people talk about, something happened the other day and I dreamed that it happened. It's like...
Yeah.
Which is fair enough. Obviously, there's a certain amount of omniscience in that ideal speaking sort of thing. So I believe it's actually fathomable that the brain could be able to predict something in your subconscious as a matter of perspective.
Do you know, I'd actually prefer that wasn't the idea that someone could sort of dream about something and then it kind of happens. I prefer if that wasn't true, because then you'd be analysing every single dream that you have, wouldn't you?
Imagine that as a superpower.
Oh, that'd be so bad.
You could actually dream people's fates. Only works when you're sleeping though, and you can dream what happened to them. So you'd have to train yourself to be a lucid dreamer to control your powers.
Oh, but that'd be so bad. I'd hate that. I'd hate having a dream and be like, oh fuck, now I've got to deal with this thing. That'd be so bad.
I don't know. If I could do that, I'd keep giving you a hand now. Once a week. It's not...
Satan has left the chat. Oh, are you going to make me catch my belt buckle on a door handle as well? You fucking villain.
Not so close together that you get used to it. Just far enough apart so it's
That's
constant.
Worse.
Exactly. Just enough. Oh, come on. You're saying you wouldn't troll people if you could dream...
Yeah, not people that... Not people that I like.
You've assumed much, my friend.
Okay.
Enjoy your flat tyre tomorrow.
You're going to slash my tyres tonight.
Only in my dreams.
Now that you said that, it's going to come true. I'm going to fucking call you up on the side of the M4 and be like, fuck you, Dylan.
Someone's outside right now as we're saying it.
Yeah, I'd hate that. I'd hate that. Having a dream about someone dying and shit, and then having to deal with it.
It does sound like a Stephen King sort of thing that eventually drives you insane. The story, the story. I think it was Needful Things. The guy got a haunted typewriter, and everything he typed stories, and those horrible things happened in the real world.
Really?
Yeah, it's actually a really cool story. But yeah,
I thought you were talking about Death Note.
No, it's Needful Things. Basically, it's pretty much the devil sells a guy...
It's always the devil, man,
in Maine, obviously.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, where else does any creepy stuff happen in America, right?
Sells a guy a possessed typewriter, and whatever he writes comes true.
Damn, that sounds kind of cool. I need to check that out.
Yeah, it is actually really
Anyway, and you should probably check that out too if you are a fan of all that stuff. But we, I believe, are coming... to the end of this one.
We have wanked on for a while, haven't we?
Yes. This is the longest I've ever lasted.
I'm impressed with our stamina.
Yeah, me too. I mean, it's getting a little raw down.
That's why you need to do these things together.
Yeah, exactly. You got to help each other out.
We make each other stronger and stiffer.
Yeah, you got to share like communists.
Once again, drop those comments down below, guys. We would love to feature anything you'd like to say on our show, because we know questions. No one's listening at this point anyway.
No, any questions, any comments, we will read them out. Anything we got wrong, we'll read them out. Anything got right,
we got everything right, of course.
No.
I am looking forward to our next list of shit we got wrong.
Oh yeah. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen, you have been listening to
Laughing on a Prayer.